Well, I'm here with Tim Harrison. He is founder and CEO of Harrison Financial Services. Tim, for coming again.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you again. You know, your company has a column in Metro Magazine every other month, so wanted to sit down and we had some interesting questions that you answered in the August issue. So going to go through some of those and get some answers. So, you know, talking about philanthropy, and a big thing is getting your kids involved, and a lot of people don't really know how to do that. So asking, how do you get your kids involved in philanthropy at an early age? It's important.
I agree. I think it's really important. I think the key is just starting somewhere. And so I know for Tracy and I, one of the things we did early on, I was involved in the Salvation Army, and I've been involved in their advisory board. And so one of the simple things we did is we got out to some bell ringing. We took our kids with us, and might have been a little cold at times, but nevertheless, you know, they got to see lots of people walking by, and fortunately it's a well-known charity that many people want to support, and so they're putting the dollars in, or even if we're going into a Hy-Vee and making sure that I hand them the dollars to put into the kettle as opposed to, so that's a good example. Another example I can think of is we had raised money for a food pantry, and we had a run that we supported for a number of years. And so we brought our kids along to the run, and they helped us in the beginning just to take food items from people and exchange raffle tickets, and just to kind of help in the process of loading the food into the truck and then counting the money, and anything you can do to get them involved and watch what you're doing.
I think kids want to be involved too. Absolutely. Don't you think so?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then I think a key part of that is to maybe explain to them when you're driving home, you know, why do you do this and why do you support that organization?
For sure.
So that's important.
Is there, I mean, this is a little off, it's not off topic, but at what age do you get kids involved? I mean,
I don't know if there's a great age, right? But I do know that we did that with Blake. We got him involved, and our daughter at 5, 6 years old. And so I don't think there's any age that's too young.
Yeah, okay. So how can a person utilize the resources he or she will provide to a community? I mean, how you know, in a meaningful way? And I guess I kind of interpret that question too is, how do you know what to do? How do you know what you want to do in a meaningful way?
Yeah, and I think the key there is just try to get to know the organization and communicate and ask them questions. So whoever it is that you know that's part of that organization, you know, ask them, what would be something I could do with this organization that might make an impact? Another example I could use there, I had a friend whose son had leukemia, and he had sent out an email that a lot of us get for something that he was going to do. He was going to run a half marathon.
Right.
And so at that time, I didn't know what to do, so I said, you know what, I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to run a half marathon with you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, well, it took a little while, but yes, so we did.
Wow.
And a few of us in the office got involved, and we raised some funds and said, we're going to do this. Would you support us in this?
Yeah.
And, I mean, so that was an example. That maybe it's an extreme example. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
But it was fun. And actually, in that case, we now have gotten involved in a number of ways with that organization. Fortunately, his son has done really well through that, and so 5 years later, literally, we have a fundraiser tonight that we're doing. Just so happens around this organization, and we've done a lot of good things for it. So.
And I wanted to give an example too. I'm really involved with the Nebraska Children's Home because I'm a birth mother.
Absolutely.
And that, you know, just through that relationship, and they actually were a part of my adoption.
Great organization.
You know, give them a lot of support and funds, and so really kind of find something that maybe is personal to you, and then look at the, you know, what is out there, what various organizations support that need or that cause.
And I think, as you know, there's a saying that is it takes a village, and you know, whatever you can do along with other people and what they can do does make an impact.
It does, no matter how little or how small. I think a lot of times people think, I've got to do this big thing, and like you said, a lot of little contributions or showing up and helping it makes a big difference. So, so this is a question I know a lot of people ask. How do you know if the organization, if they're utilizing their resources? I mean, that's a big question. How do you know that about an organization?
Yeah, it is hard to know if they're a good steward of the money and how to. So I think one easy way today online, most organizations, if they're of any size, have a annual report. And that annual report should break down of each dollar you give, how much goes to overhead and staff costs, and how much actually goes to the causes that you want to support. So that's a great way. And then the other way is just to ask, again,
Yeah.
to ask somebody key to that organization, tell me how you utilize these resources.
Yeah.
And just so you have a better idea of where they're spending dollars and
Right.
what's coming in. And,
Yeah.
but I think the key is communicating about it.
Absolutely. And I will say, you know, I had a conversation with Julie from Rejuvenating Women, and, you know, we were talking about, you know, their staff costs, and nonprofits do
Absolutely.
have administrative costs. So looking at that and understanding that they've got to keep themselves running and to bring good people in, but also where does it go to the actual support? So there's that balance too, and really looking at that.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if there's rules of thumb per se. I would just
For
say
sure.
with some of the largest organizations we have supported, they might have 13 to 20 cents on the dollar that might be going to overhead costs, but that's really good. That's really
Yeah.
efficient. You might have other organizations, it's 50 cents. And so
Yeah.
you've got to decide, is that worth it for me? But I think
Absolutely.
the annual report certainly has most of what you would
Yeah.
want if they have one, if it's a large
Yeah.
enough organization.
Yeah, I like how you just put that. That's kind of looking at that percentage. So let's talk about Harrison Financial Services, and how do you help your clients kind of understand where they can most effectively make a difference and whatnot?
Yeah. No. Well, I'd say it's been a journey. So we today have 7 foundation, or I should say clients who have private foundations
Okay.
or public foundations that we serve. And in that process over the years, we've seen everything from the grant making process to how clients go about the decisions around what they're going to do and what they want to impact. And a lot of the, I'll say, technical details around tax deductions and just
Yeah.
things that they're asking. So it just takes some time to kind of get used to
Sure.
what that really means.
Yeah, and really kind of helping them achieve their giving goals and understanding what those are. So you guys are
Yeah.
really good at that.
And one of the things I would say, so we do have a process called a legacy planning process where we
Right.
essentially go through a question and answer with them to
Right.
get more specific about what organizations you're giving to today, how do you choose those, and how do we be strategic about who we give to and why we give to those organizations.
Right.
So we do that with families. Sometimes it's just the parents, and sometimes they might have us sit down with the children or adult children separately. So we do have a process to try to identify and maybe put a strategy around it.
Right.
As opposed to what often has been more of a haphazard model, and people just tend to give to whoever
Yeah.
asked them for it here or there, or
Sure.
say yes or no.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful.
Yeah. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about that?
Sure. They can either look us up, hfs.nm.com
Okay.
on the website, or they can just give us a call.
Okay.
Harrison Financial Services. So
Alrighty.
we're easy to find, I think.
All right. Well, Tim, thank you so much. Important questions, you know, just about how to get involved in philanthropy. So I appreciate everything your company does in the community.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. And we will be right back.